everyone. Okay, I always ask first when I start these, can everyone hear me? Please just give me a response and let me know, can you see me? The worst thing is doing these webinars. I never trust these platforms. And then people can't even hear you or see you. That's like the worst. And so just want to be sure that everyone can hear and see me. So please, if you could just text a quick reply, that would be great. All right, so we'll get started. So I wanted to do this a little bit different. Usually I do a lot of these webinars and I basically just sit here and just spill information. But I wanted to target those who are considering starting any type of spa type business and see how I can help you. Of course, by now you should know that I do teach classes. So I'm Dr. Natasha Welch, nurse practitioner. I own a Bronze Skin studio with a location here in Atlanta. The other location is in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I also teach medical aesthetics. And primarily, most of my students have been probably 98% nurses or nurse practitioners. I do also teach estheticians who want to advance their knowledge, as well as master cosmetologists. But anyone's free to take the courses. You can be a physician assistant, or you can also be a physician. These classes I usually conduct once a month. And now we're doing things a little bit different in 2020. So in January, actually, the first round of classes are going to be in the DC, Maryland area at our Maryland location in downtown Silver Spring. February, there will be classes here in Atlanta again. So I just wanted to just open up and give this a little bit different, but more of a Q&A. Listen, the medical spa industry, of course, by now everyone knows is gained a lot of popularity. If we think about the advent of Botox and derma fillers in the earlier 2000s, really 2007 is when that all took off. So now medical spas are not just located in the back of a plastic surgeon's office, but there are a lot of indies coming into this business or independent owners. And it's interesting to see that a lot of these independent owners are estheticians, nurses, as well as nurse practitioners. And I actually just did a talk yesterday, and it's interesting how there's not a huge public awareness of exactly what do you do in a medical spa. So I like to just make this more of an informative type thing, but also open it up for Q&A discussion. So I'm going to look on the chat. And if anyone has a question, please post it there and I'll be glad to answer it. If you want to, I think no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to mute all. Allow participants. Okay, so you can unmute yourself if you wanted to just chime in the way I said it just now. So if you don't want to text and you want to talk, please feel free just to chime in. So this is a fast growing industry. Two of the populations that are growing the fastest include the millennials as well as men, believe it or not. I want to say the average age for the medical spa goer is anywhere between age 30 to the age 54. However, the young people in their 20s, they're really taking care of themselves. And I find it to be one of the fastest growing populations in my business. Now, a little bit about the history of Abraza. It may help you, give you some insight, but I started in one little room. I love telling people this story. I started in one little room, but if you saw my business on the web, you'd have thought you was going to walk into the largest spa ever. And it was just me as an independent operator and owner. That's how I started this, one little room. So with that said, it can be done. And I find that most of the people that I'm attracted into my courses are people who pretty much are going to walk the same path that I walked. Now we've grown. We have 3 team members, well, 4 team members, including myself here in Atlanta. And Maryland is still one independent person, but actually, now that we're entering 2020, we're going to increase that staff by 1 extra person. So I'm very excited about the growth with the business. And I've learned so much, there are many different ways I tell people to skin a cat. And it is definitely doable. Yes, I've fallen a couple of times, but I just got up, dust my knees off, and push forward. And if I always say, if I can do it, I think anyone can do it. It's just as long as you have lots of, number one, skill set, because you have to know what you're doing. And then number two, determination. And although that I'm trained up and I do all this, I tell people I still read journals. I'm still Googling information. I'm always want to be ahead of my clients. My clients really should not come in and educate me. They are coming in to get something out of me. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm a know-it-all and I can always learn more. But if I even hear one thing that I've never heard before, I'm always on the ball to go find out what it is. And if I don't know what it is, I'm always open to sending them elsewhere. All right, so let's see. I'm 21, currently in college studying nursing. Awesome. First semester. I don't really have a passion for nursing, only aesthetic nursing. Okay. I want to eventually open up my own med spa, but I want to know, would you recommend being a nurse if that's all I want to do with aesthetic nursing, or should I choose another degree? I think, well, dealing with skin is a body part, number one, right? Skin is an organ. Actually, it's your largest organ. I don't think getting a nursing degree is going to be a hindrance to what you want to do. What I would hate for you to do at your young age is, since you're already in college and you're studying nursing, keep pushing through. What year is it? You just studying this, your first semester of nursing or first semester of college? I don't really understand that part, but I'm going to tell you now, education will never fail you, ever. There's nothing better than a safety net below your tight wire. Okay. So, not that esthetician isn't a good tight wire, but let's be honest. Here in Atlanta, if people wanted to pay an esthetician hourly, they usually make somewhere between $15 and $20 an hour. They're lucky if some place wants to pay them 25. Now, if you're good, you find a good place like me, I pay by commission, right? So with that said, as a nurse, you can put your foot on the gas of growing your business while you're pulling your foot off of the clutch of being a nurse. So your earning potential is much higher as a nurse. And if all else fails, you always will have nursing to fall back on. So think about that. So even though you can be an aesthetic nurse, you will be a great addition to a plastic surgical practice. You can work in all kind of areas as a nurse. You can be hired by some of these device companies in aesthetics. You're just going to have way more flexibility and earning potential. There are nurses who sit on their butts and answer the phone for $35, $40 an hour. So I don't think you're making a mistake. I mean, I have a doctoral degree. Some people say, well, why do you have that? I think it benefits me. It makes me an expert. It makes me more of an authority. So there's a benefit with every level of education that you gain. So at 21, you are young, my friend. Get that education. Get that education. All right. Anyone else have a question? And I hope that helped you. And if it didn't, just let me know. I can expand on that answer. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a nurse, but I believe that degrees are always a benefit. There are a lot of estheticians who are out here actually, and they want to become nurses now. I'm hearing a lot of that actually. So you're not going in the wrong direction with that. Okay. Any other questions I can answer? Hold on, let me snap back. My computer is, there we go. Any other questions? Come on. Talk to me. This is an opportunity to ask any kind of question. You have an opportunity to talk to an expert. So if you're on here, take advantage of this. Let me tell you, I don't play. People text me sometimes, want to sit down, go to dinner, and I'm like, no, 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 no. When I go to dinner, I do not want to talk about business. It is hard.
Can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, this is Josiah. How are you doing?
Hey, Josiah.
So I have a question about, I'm an RN and I'm looking into opening up a med spa.
Okay.
How do you go about finding a medical director? Like, how do I introduce myself to these physicians and get them interested in what I'm doing? So that's my biggest thing.
Okay, good question. Actually, one of the most common questions I get is about this medical director. Now, one thing is I know that Barton Associates, believe it's Barton Associates, some of the staffing agencies are getting into this business now. And you can pay them to find you a medical director. So that's one. The other thing you can do is to tap into your own resources. I'm not sure where you work, but wherever you work, you know doctors. And ask them. Say, do you do medical director or you know anybody? Because that's what I did. So when I came out, I came back from overseas and I was like, oh gosh, I need a medical director. I talked to almost everyone I know. You know a doctor who will be interested. You know a doctor who will be interested. And that's just what I did. I didn't leave a stone unturned. And they would say, I think, you know what? Let me see. And they would contact and I would go sit down, buy them a Starbucks, tell them what I'm trying to do and see if it was a good fit. That is what I literally did. I sat down with maybe 1, 2, 3, and by the fourth doc, that was who I used. And then it hit me one day. I said, you know what? Let me find out what these medical practices. So I called around and I found the plastic surgeon. Actually, you know who led me to my first medical, my physician collaborator was one of the vendors. One of my vendors that I was going to buy a microneedle from. He said, you know, I might know someone. And so, and I reached out, met her, and we sat down and made it happen. And then after her, I needed a new doc. And guess what I did again? Ask almost everyone I knew. You know a doctor who you know, and boom, found one.
So can this be any physician, or do I specifically want to look for a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon?
Or someone who's trained in aesthetics.
Okay.
So like my doc now, he's actually ER medicine, but he took classes. He does injectables part-time somewhere. And that's how I found him. And another way is if you know any practices, if you know anyone who is in business, you know, their docs can take up to almost, I think, 4 people or something.
Wow.
Depending on the territory.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I hope it helps. But I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Right.
So if you walk around and you're like, you're never going to find that doc. So from the moment you know that, hey, I'm going to execute this, I'm going to do this, start asking. Start asking. Because as much as you're looking for them, they're looking for you. That's extra money for them.
Right.
Trust me, they are looking for you.
So I have another question. Do they get a certain percentage of the income that you receive, or commission that you receive, or like how does that work? Do they have to sign, or it depends by state also? Do they have to sign?
It does depend by state, because California had it where the physician had to own 51% of the practice, but that just changed. That's no longer the law in California. In Georgia, for instance, now I'm a nurse practitioner, so I have a collaborator. That's totally different. But for RNs, you have to set up almost like this medical entity where the business is hiring the doctor, because a nurse cannot hire a doctor. So that's just about legals and getting a doctor that specializes in medical directors.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're in Georgia, I know a nurse lawyer that kind of does that.
I'm in the state of Michigan.
Oh, okay. So they're out there. You could just Google attorneys, medical directors, or if you know anyone who's an attorney, they always know who in their little circle does different things. Or just talk to a physician. Most physicians have some type of malpractice attorney, and that those attorneys know how to set up those. There is a YouTube that I have on my YouTube page that talks about that.
Okay.
And I think that video is called Who Can Own a Medical Spa?
I'll watch that one. I'm gonna go back and watch it again and see if I can catch
Yeah,
that.
because it kind of touches on that. But it's not as hard as you think, trust me.
Okay.
And like I said, they're always out here just like everyone else trying to make extra money. And you'll be surprised how many docs have taken extra courses like that in aesthetics. And that's enough. That's all you need to cover you, is if the doc is aware or, educated on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Natasha.
Hey.
Hey, this is Tarvet. How are you?
Hey, Tarvet. I'm doing fine.
Good. How much is the startup cost for the med spa initially?
That's a hard question. That has a lot of moving parts to it, right? Because I don't know. So you have to take a lot of things in consideration. You'll have to take rent. Off the top of my head, you're going to have to take rent, utilities. This is just monthlies. So rent, utilities, malpractice. If you have any machines that are going to have a lease on it or finance on it, everyone doesn't have lease or finance machines. But if you did, that's something to take into consideration. And then the next piece on top of that is every month, if you're doing retail sales, you have to pay the state back their sales tax. You have to pay initially, of course, you have to maintain your license. You have to have a business license. Depending on your state, you annually register with the Secretary of State. So those are fees you could start looking up. Also, if you have any type of product, you're going to have to restock and rebuy things. So it's all about what services you offer and go from there. The most expensive bill is your rent. The most expensive bill every month is your rent. And how can you float this business? So once you kind of determine that and you know what your monthlies are going to look like, then you can sit down and say, okay, this is what it's going to cost. But there's other costs, right? So before you even open the door, you have to consider, am I going to build out a place or am I going to lease a place that's ready to go? So those are things to consider as well. Whatever services you're going to offer, what's the shopping list for that service? How much is it going to be an investment to get that going? So I think there's a lot of moving parts to that. And in my online class, I discuss all that. I go in way more details about that. Okay. But I think it's a valid question because you do have.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to think about how much money you're going to spend. I keep telling people. But the other thing to consider too, like I'm telling you, is location. If I can really drop the biggest gem, sometimes I'll talk to people who ask that same question, and we all have big visions, but if you have big pockets, I tell people, go ahead, but if that's not the case, I tell people, go low and grow. Low and grow, because you will grow. But the biggest bill is going to be your lease space. Yeah, and trying to keep that at a minimum. Just to give you an idea, like if you found the space and you had to build it out, build outs can cost anywhere from 20 to 50, 60 grand. So if you don't have to do a build out, then that's way more cheaper. You just come in and pay rent. So that should help you. One thing, if you're worried about like rent, you can always find a commercial realtor and say, I just want to get an idea and go out. You're not committed to them, and see what it's like. Or if you have access, if anyone have access to like commercial real estate listings, so you can kind of get an idea. Compare that price versus room rental. Like I just rented a room, so you can consider that too. And that was way cheaper. I think I did that for like I guess 18 months maybe. Okay. So I hope that helps. But it costs. And then the
Thank,
education.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Hey, those are good questions. Um, the education is money. When I look back, I spent money on education. But let me tell you, I wasted money. I wasted money, and I try my best to help people not to waste money. Oh my gosh, there are so many things that I know now that I can navigate myself, and I did not know that. So I was paying people to do certain things in the business that it was slow in the beginning. Why would I pay someone to do that when I could have done it? So there are companies out here that'll say, we'll charge you $1,500 a month to do your marketing. Listen, you're not going to have a whole line of people lining up for a vampire facial, okay? So you can learn to do your own marketing. You can learn to do your own IG and so forth and so on. In the early stages, you could learn to do that. Even to this day, I still do my own. Actually, what I do now is I open up our IG to the whole team, so anyone can post in my team. And sometimes I get on them because I'm like, hey, how come I'm the only one posting? You know. So I actually share that effort now. But I'll do stuff like put a pattern on the page or fix the color pattern or, something like that on the page. So just a little food for thought to keep it moving. So you don't have to pay people to do that. I get emails every day with people who want to manage my social media. And I'm like, there's no way I'm paying someone $500 a month to do that. Okay. So some things you can knock off of your investment initially. Any other questions? I love to answer. And it's something to think about. I can tell you one time I recall someone who I'm jumping anytime, okay? I just don't want dead air. So I'm just talking. I remember one time I came across someone who was like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I don't even know if she's still in business because she was doing the most. And I was just like, dang, that's a lot to do to have not even have a client base. Like I'm getting a laser, I'm getting this big place, I'm building this out. I mean, I hope she's doing fine, but that's costly. Lasers can cost anywhere on a lease like $1,000 a month. So, that's a big bill. It doesn't sound like it. You may think like, no, I'm going to have 100 hydrofacials. But I don't care how much more money I make in this business. I hate paying rent and I hate paying lease bills. Just being honest, I always look at it like, dang, that could have been in my pocket. So I try to tell people to be careful and at least grow with other services. So that way now you have a pool that can now leap into your other when you add on more expensive services, if that helps. Okay, some people like, I ain't listening to you. I'm going to go buy my $1 million laser. And that's fine too. But I believe in just being careful. Okay. Anyone else? I love that people are so excited to get into this business. It's really cool. I love it. I really do. It's rewarding. It's hard work, but who said that something that you are going to enjoy is going to be easy? No one actually said that. I think everyone pretty much knows it's going to be hard work. But for the nurses who are on this feed, I think that you work hard as it is, right? So I don't think nurses are scared of hard work. I always say that. But it's very rewarding when you watch it grow. And the nice thing is I've learned so many tricks to growing that I love the fact that now I can tell people that doesn't work. I did that. That doesn't work. Or maybe they should make sure they do this with it. That now when I hire marketers, I know if they're the real deal or not, because trust me, I've learned by trial and error on certain things. So I'm trying to get this thing for you. I have a code. And for some reason, the code doesn't want to work for me to give to you. So hold on one second. I'm going to pull it up for you. Let me just go ahead in here and Google it. Hold on. So I'm giving a code for a discount to the classes. So let's talk about the classes, right? I get that question a lot. So there are some live classes that I do teach. Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions. Hold on. That help. I think I want to become an esthetician on the side. Oh, you could do that. Okay. Well, you're going to build, let me say this, India, you're going to build clientele. But to go to esthetician school and go to nursing school, I mean, you can, but, well, you can. You're going to learn about skin. But like, I know for a fact, like the nurse that I work with up north, she went to esthetician school and she was a nurse first and then went to esthetician school. But when you think of medical aesthetics and the things that I brought to the table to her, it was still beyond esthetician school. It was beyond, because she was like, okay, I don't even remember all this stuff. So she was like, and I took classes at here, there. I don't even, so I think but you can, if you have a good amount of money saved, do you? Well, no one really has a clientele. Let me say that. I didn't have a clientele. I didn't. I opened and I built my clientele. So let me just say that. So you can always do some of your skill set somewhere on a part-time basis when you're in New York. Or if you want, and you have to understand that, let me just say this as a business owner. For you to go into a doctor's, for your heart intention to work for someone is to go in there and build your clientele, that's wrong. And then snatch them and bring them to your business. Let me tell you something. It can be done, but it's not good business because that will bite you in the butt, right? You want that done to you? So I believe in karma. I believe like when I work somewhere, it's like, for instance, I used to develop programs. And when I worked for one hospice program and I built their cardiac program, blah, 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 I left everything there. Their nurses, everyone. Now I still have relationships with cardiologists around the town, so they couldn't take that from me. But I didn't bring anything I did over there, over here. And I was still able to build and be successful because it is what it is. So be careful with that. And a lot of practices now are having people sign non-competes to kind of protect them from that. And I think New York respects non-competes. Georgia doesn't, because this is a right to work state. So just be careful is all I'm saying. Just be careful with that. Now, if the client wants to follow you, they have every right to follow a person. If people on my team leave me, the clients have every right to go and follow them wherever they go. So it's my job to make sure that the work environment that I'm providing for my team is so awesome that they wouldn't do that to me. And for me to stay hands-on with my clients, that they come to Abraza for what Abraza has to offer them and not, oh, I'm just following her. So that's the difference. So I really try to stay, and that's just food for thought for everyone on here. If you hire people and da-da-da, I like to stay hands-on. I'm the nurse practitioner in my practice, so I make sure that I come in and I say hi to everybody. I try my best to do that. So even though my staff is there seeing clients, unless it's a day that I'm off, that's a different story. But I'm always allowed to come in and talk to anyone because this is my practice. So, and with that said, it builds me to have a relationship with every client that's in the room that comes into Abraza. So just food for thought for everyone out there. Don't think, oh, I got them in there working and I could sit home and eat bonbons. If you don't work in your business, people will start running your business. And that's not ultimately what you want. Okay. So just to put that out there. All right, so let me go in here and get your code for you. So Teachable.com is the platform for the online class. The online class is called the hashtag MedSpa Business Builder. And let me just say that this is at 9 o'clock, I'm actually doing our group virtual meeting and we do it in our Facebook group. And that is where we are able, institute.com. And that's where we talk and we do our Q&A. So I support everyone in that class, and that's ongoing. That never ends, by the way. The other piece about that class is it drips out content to help get you started when you're ready to start your own business. Now, if it's hands-on, then we have hands-on courses. And some of those hands-on courses include All About Skin. Another course includes microneedling, but the microneedling has to do with, hold on a second. I'm having a hard time getting into Teachable. The microneedling has to do with PRP, so that's a little bit different. It has to do with platelet-rich plasma. So that's the same thing we use when we're doing a vampire facial, if you're familiar with vampire facials, and also with hair restoration. So these are hands-on. That's a hands-on component of that course. The third day of coursework is Botox and derma fillers, where you're introduced to the whole concept of using Botox, which is a neuromuscular modulator, as well as using Juvederm, which is a derma filler, which is a hyaluronic acid derma filler. Those are the two I prefer. Although there are other type of derma fillers out there, those are the two I use just because I think it's great to start with those from a basic standpoint. Plus, Allergan is one of the largest suppliers of derma fillers. So I like to introduce that to folks. And when we think about fundamentals, people always ask like, where? Well, we could stick Botox anywhere, cosmetic, pretty much. And for the fillers, we could do lips, we could do, marionette lines, smile lines. But when we think about hollows and under the eye area, that's more advanced. So that course does not cover that, but it definitely does introduce you to everything related to derma fillers, okay? Let's see. I did not mean it that more so. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Now, let me say that. Atlanta is like that. Atlanta has a lot of competition. It is hard in a competitive market, which when I tell you, you have to bring to the table things that are different than everyone else, and you have to stay on top of what everyone else is doing, and you have to think outside of the box. You got to think outside of the box. But at the same time that New York has a lot of medical spas, New York has a whole lot of people. So I think it's definitely a place where you could definitely grow your practice for sure. Shoot, I'm from New York. I get people asking me when I'm coming up there, and I know there's spas up there. So I think it doesn't really even matter. And then look, in Maryland, it's not as competitive. And it just varies. Sometimes they're busier than the Atlanta office, and it just varies. I think the hardest thing is when you're the owner and the operator. If someone else can eventually join in with you, or someone can help put boots on the ground, the bottom line is when you're not working, you should always be working. That's what I try to tell people. So even if it's a day that I didn't have clients when I first started out, I found something to do. I made sure every week I was at a business networking event. So even though it's competitive, it's all about you pushing yourself out there, constantly meeting people, it could be a lawyer social networking event. I was there. I didn't care what it was. I just made sure I was somewhere networking at least once a week. So if you really push yourself out there, it's no telling where you go. And that's how I've made great connections here in Atlanta. And then, of course, with, so-and-so and connect me to this one or that one. And New York is one of those places too, because you're going to have a lot of people who are celebrity, whatever that word means. I feel everyone's a celebrity. I treat all my clients the same, I tell people. But yeah, sky's the limit up there. I think you could do it. And plus, people up there, they got more money. So just to put it out there to you. Okay. All right. So here goes it. The code is going to go in for when you want to purchase any of the classes on, well, let's do it this way. It's actually for the Med Spa Business Builder course. There is an additional, I believe it's $250. I'm hoping everyone on here, because you're on here, you're going to get the email. So I'm going to email that coupon code to everyone. Okay. So you'll get that coupon code if you're interested in getting the Med Spa Business Builder. So you get more money off. If you go to www.abrazaskininstitute.com, you'll be able to see the courses. And if you're here, then I know you're on the email list. You'll get that information. And this replay will get posted as well with that coupon code for you to use. And you'll have some days to use it. Okay. So I'm going to check out because I have to get ready for the next call. And isn't it sad that between these two webinars, that's when I get a chance to eat my dinner. So I hope that helps. It's just always, listen, if you're here, you're doing it. You're already starting your business mindset. You have to stay connected to people who are doing what you are doing. It's not that your friends are bad people, but your friends aren't going to be able to talk about this with you. You know, when I started a jewelry business, I had a friend say to me, "Oh, why you want to sell earrings? That's dumb." I'll never forget it. And I became like one of the top 2% out of a business with 33,000 women selling jewelry. Don't let people take your shine. Don't let the dream snatchers snatch your dreams. I'm going to leave you on that. And remember that misery loves company. But not only that, if it's not misery loves company, a lot of the times people just don't have the courage that you have. So they're just reflecting their fears onto you. Doesn't mean they don't love you. Doesn't mean they feel like you can't do it. And the more people think I can't do something, it just gives me more fuel to do it. So I just have to say that. As I just left, we just had Black Friday, and I looked at the numbers from the past 2 years, and it's more than, I can't even tell you. I think from last Black Friday when I looked, and I had a hard time last year. I had a lot happen to me in my first year of business. I had 2 close deaths. I lost a sister and a nephew. So I was going through HELL, I tell people. And I believe Black Friday 2018, my doors could not open because I did not get my certificate of occupancy here in Atlanta. And we were just moving in Maryland. So guess what I made last Black Friday? Zero. So some people will say, "Dag," or they might give up. I'm here to tell you that this Black Friday was very well. So it just shows me, and I'm just giving this to you to just imagine where you will be 1 year from now. Please, I'm telling you. One day I'll share the testimony of that whole journey with me in business. My first 2 years, it was hard. Going through my family and blah. But anyway, I made it. I'm here. I tell everybody the light at the tunnel is just clear as day now. It was a hard time. So sometimes it's not as easy. Everyone who becomes successful has to fall down and scrape their knees. Your Tyler Perry's, your Oprah Winfrey's, all of them can tell you about struggle. But if you're not ready to push through something, I tell people business looks glamorous on Instagram and Facebook. Business is hard. I'm not trying to deter you. I just want to prepare you. And if you made it to this webinar tonight versus going to the happy hour or whatever you could be looking at, I don't know, reality TV, then that tells me you got it. Keep pouring in. You got this. If there's any other questions, please DM me on my social, Abraza Skin Studio. ABRAZA Skin Studio. Also, that's the same for my Facebook. Sometimes I have to think. Then I got Abraza Skin Institute on Facebook, the THEDR Natasha, the Dr. Natasha on Instagram, as well as Facebook. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining. And you will get that email. Let me see. It might be another question. I'm sorry. All out and make a decision on the best route to take. Have a wonderful. Oh, you're welcome, Asia. It's going to come to you. Trust me, when I tell you it's going to come to you, and you're just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to do this first step. You know, it will come to you. And you never know, maybe I could be the one to help you along that path. I'm telling you that hashtag Med Spa Business Builder, I love it. I love seeing ladies post their new spa rooms. I love it. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm glad that now they have someone to help hold their hand through the process versus trying to figure it out or making serious expensive mistakes. Because Lord knows I made some. If I think back, I'm like, oh my God, I missed that money. So thanks for chatting it up with me tonight, everybody. Oh, that's awesome, India. Thanks for, oh, that's my cousin's name too. But thanks for chatting it up with me tonight. I'm telling you, you guys got it. If you hear, I'm just saying to you, I went in a store today. Let me just tell you this quick. I had to get a mirror for the other room, right? And I can't find a silver frame mirror, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it, right? So I was in Home Goods, and I walked in, I was like, I guess it is Christmas. That's how business brained I am. That those things that used to be like the too raw for me, it's just totally changed. It's so crazy. Your mindset will change when you come in business. You don't change as a person. I still am who I am, but I nurtured this more than any other thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. And I'm loving it. You see me smiling. Life is good. I cannot complain, y'all. So you ladies got it. Please DM me if you need anything, okay? All righty. Bye, everybody.